So I've been deep diving on Genesis a little bit, and Peter Gabriel, and I came across this UK TV show. Like it looks like a daytime talk show or something, and it was from '77 when he first put his first album out. Salisbury Hill was in the charts at the time, and they talked to him a little bit about that song. It turns out Salisbury Hill was a place where Druids used to hang out, and they had supposedly a temple to Apollo up there. And he was just talking about all this sort of weird stuff that goes on up there. You know, because of course it does. It couldn't have just been a nice song, right, about sitting on a hill. You know, it had to have all these occult connotations. Occult, of course, just meaning hidden. They mentioned the song, and the woman that was interviewing him made like a little contest among the viewers to see if they could figure out what he was saying at the end of the first chorus, or the first part where he sings the main thing that returns. I don't know if I'm describing this well, but anyway, at the end of it, he sings this sort of thing that sounds like a nonsense. It sounds like Lu Fui. Eh, Lu Fui. I didn't know what it was. I just always thought it was just some weird, you know, he's always making weird, you know, sort of ad-lib stuff. And her contest among the viewers was to figure out if they knew what it meant. And they never revealed what it meant, but she told her that it's actually a backwards word. There's backwards masking there on that song. And he said you have to play it backwards to hear what it really says. And I thought that was really weird. I didn't know there's backward messages in fucking Salisbury Hill. It doesn't really seem like the kind of place for it, but you know, we know how these things go, whatever. But it got me thinking about that period of when he left Genesis. They were just about to break through. They had just put out their album, and were on tour for their album, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. So, excuse me. The story goes, Peter became upset with the band because during the recording of that album, he had problems with his wife was giving birth to a daughter, and she was born in a bad state, or she's coming along in a bad state, and they might lose her, and they thought that she might die, his daughter, his new baby daughter. So he was spending a lot of time going back and forth from the studio to like a 3-hour drive to wherever the hospital was. And the story goes, they weren't sympathetic to it, and they were becoming upset with him. He wanted to take time out to, you know, watch this situation, kind of be there for his wife, and they said no. And he said that was the beginning of, he decided at that point that he was going to leave the band. And after the subsequent tour for that album, he did leave the band. Now, interestingly, during that time, before that happened, he actually quit the band during recording for a little while because he got contacted by William Friedkin, the guy that did The Exorcist. And another interesting tie-in, he had read some of Peter's, a story that Peter put on the back of the live album, and he liked the way he thought and invited him to come work on some kind of new project. Friedkin wanted to create some kind of new creative think tank in Hollywood, and you know, Gabriel thought it was a good idea. The band said no, so he quit. This is before the thing with this kid. And then Friedkin, I guess, found out that he was breaking the band up, and he's like, no, I don't want to break the band. You go back there. So I think they were a little upset with that. So when he wanted to take the time away to see his daughter, they said no to that. Which they should have said yes. I mean, his daughter's more important than the band. But this all made me think, like, anytime, they all talk about how they were on the precipice of breaking big, moving on to the next part of their career. They're about to be huge. Right around the time that this was happening with his daughter, where he thought he might lose his daughter. Now, anyone that follows this kind of stuff knows that usually at the beginning of someone's career, if they're on a fame type trajectory, actors, musicians, whatever, there's always some kind of tragedy around them. Is that the pedal bus? Yes, it's the pedal bus. There we go. Right there. Right there. So, usually there's someone dead around them. Someone dies, and then they become famous. I mean, a recent example is Ghost. You know, I think of that band Ghost. He lost his brother, and the very next day is when his songs blew up and he got all the attention. So this is a thing that happens. You could look at almost any situation like this with actors or musicians. So another time where a sacrifice must be made, because that's what it is if they get into kind of a rut and they need a boost in their career. I'm thinking of Eric Clapton when he was he'd burned all his bridges and was kind of ran out of gas there at the end of the 80s. He was a non-commodity, and the death of his son put him right back in the game. Now, if I had to guess, like, the way these things work is they don't actually tell the person who the sacrifice is or when the sacrifice has to be made. They just know that when it comes up, they have to, do the right thing. So I think what happened is this one kind of snuck up on them, like they're about to go into the next stage of their career, gain the next level of fame, and the sacrifice appeared. Like, okay, this is it. And I think he freaked out and said no. Because he didn't just leave the band, he stated that he was leaving the music business, he's going to be a farmer. And the rest of the band was upset because they're like, this is our big thing, How attached are you to that kid anyway? It's now I don't know, this is just all theory, but based on how it's worked with other artists and in other situations, it's not, I don't think, completely out there. And I think if you affix that lens and then looked at the details of that situation, I think it could go a little way to explaining some of the stuff around it and make things make a little bit more sense. So I think he said no, and he couldn't just keep rolling. Once you decline the beast, you're out of the game. And that was the case. He went to be a farmer, live with his family. Now, I don't know what happened after that, if they had to do something, or if they let them roll for a couple more years. I haven't looked into it as far as any other moments like that in the band's history following Peter. Now, a year after that, Peter got back in action and launched a successful solo career. I'd be interested to see if there's any bodies around him in that 76, 77 period. I haven't looked into that. I kind of don't know if I want to. It's kind of depressing, man, But it would go far to kind of bolstering my theory here. Is it worth the time, though? This is definitely what's called the horizontal pursuit. When you're moving up the ladder of truth or the elevator of truth, a horizontal pursuit is something that takes you off that upward motion and puts you on a horizontal motion. Like, hey, I noticed the NASA space shuttles look like they're just hot air balloons. And then you get off the elevator of truth to get off on the shuttles or hot air balloons for. And that's horizontal. That'll keep you going around in circles. You're no longer moving up. You got off on a floor and you're on this side quest, which takes a lot of your energy. And in that time that you're investigating the side quest, you're not moving up. And a lot of these side quests are put there purposely to keep you from moving up and to keep you in a horizontal pursuit. There's a lot of guys on YouTube, it's their job to do that. Like gatekeeping, like, hey, look at this thing I found and let's uncover this. And you could spend a long time putting your time and energy into figuring out things that in the long run don't really matter and don't help your development as far as being whatever it is you're looking for, more truth, more spiritual awareness. It stops your growth, and you get off the elevator, or you get off the staircase, and you start walking around on that floor, a horizontal pursuit. I say that about politics too, like left and right, it's a horizontal thing. It's just back and forth and back and forth. Power, political power, and just power in general, is on a goes up and down, you know. And the top being, you know, the power, the lower down you go, no power. It's what they do when they get you in this paradigm of left and right, you know, whether it's Labor or Tories or Republicans and Democrats in the US. You're just going back and forth with people that don't have any power, because the power is all going up. It's all the people higher up on the elevator. So you're just playing idiot ping pong, you know. Orange man bad, Sleepy Joe, you know, just back and forth. It's Orange man bad, Sleepy Joe. And they want you to stay there. You know, it's the whole system in the political sphere is designed to keep you there, to keep you fighting with people. All this bad shit's happening because the guys from the other political party are doing it to you. They're trying to ruin your life. You understand how this goes. So all truth in that way works sort of that same way. So looking into how Genesis maintain their fame or gain new fame, same with Peter Gabriel, is it worth kind of looking into? I might spend a little bit of time just for fun, you know, because you have to have these kind of fun pursuits, right? This sort of good time stuff to get you out of the shit sometimes. So maybe to relax, I'll take a look at that, and if I find anything interesting, I'll hit you with it. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.